Hi, I'm Carla Schaefer, Auntie's Beads designer, and I'm going to demonstrate how to design using bead frames. We'll be making a bracelet and a pair of earrings. For this design, I chose to use the brass bead frame, so to go with those, I will be using brass filigree beads, gold fill, clasp chain, and beads, and as well I will be using some Swarovski crystal. I'm going to be using an 8mm round Palace Green Swarovski crystal and an 8mm round rondelle for the bracelet and a 4mm round Palace Green Swarovski crystal. For the earrings, I will be using a 4mm round, a 6mm round rondelle, and an 8mm round. Tools that will be needed for this project will be a pair of chain nose pliers, round nose pliers, and a nipper tool. I've decided to use the 49 strand gold plate wire, and this is just for aesthetic reasons. You don't have to use this. And I'm also going to be using a gold fill 2x2 crimp bead. And in this case, I am going to be flat crimping the crimp bead because I have found that the gold fill beads are just a little too soft to be used with the magical crimp forming tool. So the first thing I'm going to do is going to go ahead and crimp one end of my wire into the gold fill trigger clasp. And I have cut my wire 4 inches longer than the desired length of my bracelet. So I'm just going to take it and using my chain nose pliers, I am just going to, I want to allow a little room for that trigger to move about, and I'm just going to flat crimp. And then the first thing we're going to do is go ahead and string on our accent beads. First thing I'm going to go ahead and do is go ahead and drop on the 4mm round bead and make sure that I get it to go over both wires. And then in my original design I used a 6mm brass filigree bead to use. And then I'm going to string on the rondelle. And when stringing the filigree beads, you just need to be careful to make sure it goes through the hole in the end and not come out of the bead somewhere. And we'll give you a close-up of this pattern. It's fairly simple. But these Palace green beads look really nice with gold. Okay, now what I've done on this is I'm going to put a little 4mm round in between each frame just so that it sits just right in the frame. And what you do with a bead frame is they obviously have holes on either side, and then you are allowed to put a bead in the middle, and this bead frame will accommodate an 8mm bead. And what I like to do is I just run the wire through the bead frame so it comes out, then I slip the bead, let it drop into the frame, and then I just back the wire out and then run it through the hole. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and end this bracelet. I just used 3 bead frames and then the same pattern on the other end of the bracelet, and to make this bracelet a little more universal for everybody's size wrist, I'm going to use a little extension chain, and I just cut about an inch of gold fill chain. And you need to string the crimp bead on first and then the chain, and then you just would crimp into the end of the chain here just as you would end of a toggle or another clasp. And then I like to run it through 2 or 3 beads and make sure that your bracelet's flexible. Give a little space between the crimp and the chain, and flat crimp with your chain nose pliers, and then trim your wire with the nipper tool. And then you've completed your bracelet. Okay, I'm going to show you how to do a simple design using the bead frame for a pair of earrings. I'm using a 1.5 inch gold fill head pin, going to take a 4mm round Swarovski bead, put it on the bottom of the head pin. Then I'm going to use the bead frame. As I would with wire, beading wire, I'm just going to slip it on to the head pin. Then I'm going to add the 8mm round, and then I'm simply going to back it out and run it back through the hole of the bead frame. And on top of this, I'm going to go ahead and add a 6mm round rondelle. Now I'm going to wrap a loop now at the top of this, but since this wire is going to be short, I'm also going to be using my chain nose pliers to help finish the wrap. But you bend the wire over the jaws of the plier at a right angle, reposition your pliers, and then bring the wire over, forming a loop. And at this time I'm going to use the chain nose pliers to help finish the wrap. Since this head pin is shorter than what I normally would use, in this case, that's why I like to use my chain nose pliers to help complete the wrap. So I just repositioned myself, and all I'm going to do is going to take the wire with the chain nose pliers and just bring it around. And then you would trim with the nipper tool, and then we'll add it to the ear wire. Now that I've completed the wrap and trimmed the wire, then all I need to do is add it to the ear wire finding. And so I'm just going to simply open the ear wire finding just as you would a jump ring by pulling it to the side. And I'm going to slip the loop on and then close the ear wire, and then you've completed your pair of earrings.